In a pitbull fight, the winner is not always the one who wins. Many victories are obtained through permanence in the fight. And many who are winning may not want to fight again. This is the 7th part of the audiobook, The Competition Dog.
Chapter 8. A Lesson in Patience. Originally published in Bits on Pits magazine, December 1993. Over the past few years, we've always chosen to limit our articles to interviews with other breeders and individual dog stories rather than writing articles who give advice on breeding, conditioning, etc. This is why we've always felt that there are enough how-to articles already. However, a recent event has encouraged us to write something a little different. However, this is not really an article about what should be done with a dog but what should not be done. A small show took place in which a female dog named Pinky took best of show. This was a bitch we were personally familiar with. In a way, we helped a part of her career, about 2 years ago. We almost destroyed her like she was a stray. First of all, we should clarify that this article is in no way a criticism of Pinky, just the opposite. We think her story is a perfect example of something we've learned over the past 2 years, to take a break. To a dog to mature mentally instead of treating him in a harsh way. Before the age of 2 can mean the difference between having a mutt and a good one. Departure dog. Pinky was born on July 7, 1989, the result of a second-generation cross made by Kevin and K in Pennsylvania. They had a game bitch named Ruby, daughter of Joan C.H. Smoker and Rocca Red Gal, whom they bred to Patrick's little Tater, and they crossed a bitch daughter of that breeding with Laminax Trouble, a son of Tonka, who produced C.H. Terra and C.H. Flint, which resulted in the litter of Pinky. Pinky was purchased by the late E.J. Hollingsworth as a puppy. It's like her came to be known as Hollingsworth Pinky. A couple of months later, we bought Hollingsworth's kennel. Included in the 28-dog pack was Pinky. Her first fight took place when she was approximately 18 months old. We might mention that this is an age at which many breeders feel that a dog should be mentally and physically ready for a hard test. It doesn't matter if the dog's maturity or education has, or has not, ended. Table Rock. Rick and his wife Donna had a dog named Sugar May who was a very fierce. She was also the only dog Pinky's size at the time, so we released the two together. Pinky was losing from beginning to end. Sugar sank into ahead of her and she was a dead dog when we stopped them at 25 minutes. Although she really didn't do anything to impress us, Pinky never turned or screamed, and she made a fixed and confused attack. A couple of months later we had a Jeep/Nigerian bitch that we wanted start training, and we figured we'd put Pinky with her for a few minutes. She spanked that pup hard and grounded her for approximately 3 minutes, during which this time the young bitch was turning and screaming and trying to escape. When she finally reacted, she caught Pinky's nose very well. Pinky started to do all the types of bad signals. We immediately separated them, as we had accomplished what we wanted, started with the young bitch who was now kicking and fighting to get Pinky. Pinky, on the other hand, was standing still and not doing anything. No effort to disengage, and when the young bitch was brought close to her, she repeatedly faltered and looked away as the pup stood with her, trying to get up. Hide between the guide's legs. Art Davis was there that day picking up a pair of puppies, and he begged us for the bitch and said he thought she was a very pretty bitch and he would be willing to give it a little more time and try again. We agreed to let you take it. Her, because as far as we knew she was a mongrel, but we stipulated a condition. That if she turned out to be a game dog after all, we would have the opportunity to get pups from future litters. We might add that the puppies he was catching that day were gifts, and it was understood that if he couldn't keep them for whatever reason they got back to us. In this. At the moment we have made many agreements with R. and his father and we consider them good friends. That was another lesson we learned the hard way. About 6 or 8 months later, we found out from another creator in the R space that he had sold all 3 puppies. In our opinion, the mistake we made with Pinky is one we made the most at once. Instead of looking at each dog as an individual, we would tend to assume that if a dog is hot and is at least 18 months old, that one is done. We believe the reason Pinky acted so badly on Monday. Her struggle was that the first fight was too much for her and it ruined her. Looking back now, we don't even believe she was ready at the time. Luckily for Pinky that didn't permanently ruin her and she got a second chance. A few others had not. Another dog that had a chance to prove to us that we were wrong comes to mind. Unfortunately for him his story doesn't have an ending. Happy. He was a son of bandit who had sometimes briefly fought among the 15 and 18 months old and looked very talented. When he was about 18-month-old one of the litter mates who looked quite promising in his first fight was put up with 5 dogs and destroyed. Instead of counting. In fact, his owner called us and said he had given up in 15 minutes. At the time, we were so shocked by what we believed to be the truth that we started to have doubts about the rest of the litter on occasion. Maybe they were all mutts. Maybe it was bad breeding. All these thoughts passed through our minds until we finally decided that we were going to find out about the male we had. We put this young dog with a biting dog extremely hard on the chest that he then beat another in 23 minutes. That one young dog grabbed the other and danced around him for about 15 minutes. Looking back we realize how much of a puppy he really was in the. On occasion, he showed no aggression and acted as if it were all a game. To the 15 minutes the starter dog got into his chest and shoulders and hurt him badly. He could have broken his shoulder. The puppy was only with 3 legs, and at 18 the puppy was on the line. We have him as a pet and we feel smart that we found out early on that he was a stray instead of feeding him until he was 2 years old or older. We soon forgot about it. Several months later Table Rock Rick, who had found the dog a home, called and told us a story that made us feel like a couple of idiots, and more. Yet because we had discovered the true story about the mutt brother of 15 minutes from him. Since he left our kennel, the dog we gave away had broken his leg while out walking, and was permanently disabled as a result, was kept hungry and riddled with worms, and had been put to fight many times. The last time at 35 pounds, his starting weight was approximate 37 to 38, against a 25-pound larger dog. He stopped the dog in half an hour, making play, alternating attacks while being completely destroyed. This was all confirmed by the owner of the other dog. We immediately tried to find him back, only to discover that he had been sold to a second person for drugs, then sold to a third person. Almost a year trying, and we never made it. Find it. We can think of dozens of stories we've heard from creators, different over the years, from puppies that turned yellow at 16-18 months of age but proved competitive in long, hard matches when they were older. Terry T. once told us that he believes there is nothing wrong with testing young dogs, but that fights should be short, easy until the dog is 24 months, and a dog shouldn't be game tested before 2 fights. His reason was that the dog may look ready but mentally he is still a puppy, and if you put him too soon with a puppy, you'll take the puppy out of him. We've heard of similar opinions from other breeders, and over the past 2 years, we completely changed the way we look at raising a dog, based on what we've learned both from other people and from our own experience. We know of a bitch that was bred once and only produced 2 puppies. First was paired with a 19-month-old and gave up within an hour and a half. His brother had more time to grow, he was also paired and gained a fight to the death in 3 hours. Maybe if the first dog hadn't been paired so young, his departure could have been different. We are not saying that waiting for a dog to mature will make a stray become a fighting dog. Perhaps the dog above would have lost if he had been 3, but what we are saying is this: when they take a young dog and put him in a position where he is wounded badly, you can never really know if the dog was in fact a mongrel, or if he could have been a big winner if he just had more time to grow. If you give a dog every advantage you can and they still give up, well, at least you know you've done your part and not. You'll be left wanting to know, what if? Another thing to be aware of is that some dogs seem to start out in stages. For example, we had dogs that at 18 to 20 months attacked hard and looked okay. Nothing special, but 6 months later they suddenly turned into biters. Fierce, super intense killers. There are also dogs that don't turn into anything until they are very old, some 2 years later. While many breeders simply cannot justify wait so long for a dog, there were many dogs that started late and showed very good starting dogs. Kimsey Wood once stated in conversation that we had that the great Ch. Chinaman not only didn't start until he was 3.5 years old, but that by that time, at one point he didn't even fight to defend himself. A friend of ours had a dog that we crossed with Chinaman who didn't fully start until she was 3 years. Once, when she was about 2 years old, we saw her completely eat a bitch daughter of Zebo that we had, but when it went to attacking back the bitch, she just wagged her tail. We would have lost interest in her and said she was a cold bitch. Many other people would have said that she was a stray, but her owner had the patience and perseverance to keep going, working with her, and she earned 2 under half an hour each, both with death, before losing the third in a game of death. Hopefully this article can influence someone to give it to that young dog the extra time he needs to mature, which might just enable him to make a good, solid game dog, or even a future champion.
This was the 7th part of the audiobook, The Competition Dog. Sign up so you don't miss the 8th part. My name is Rodolpho Luiz. I appreciate every comment, like and share. God bless you all. I went.